Old sayings, terms of phrase, terms of speech. These are gifts of language that are seldom taught to us in school. We're taught to form out words, spell, form sentences, write paragraphs, term papers, and much more. But we come across these older sayings along the way. Today, I'm thinking of getting it from all directions and from the four corners of the map. When I think of how I came to my love of all things agriculture, these old sayings surely apply to my pedigree. Howdy, I'm J.D. Sartwell IV, a proud chapter farmer of the Falls City FFA, a 5th generation Brahman breeder, and a 7th generation Texas rancher. When I'm making breeding decisions for my purebred cows, I have to spend a lot of time during the day comparing my cows' physical attributes. But I spend a lot of time at night comparing sire pedigrees, trying to select the best mating possible for each female. Now this comes with a whole lot of planning. When I take a step back and look at my own pedigree, I know exactly what God's plan for me was. Now cattlemen and women usually start talking pedigrees with the top side, or the sire side. However, I know that nothing happens without the dam side, so we'll start with the females. Both of my mother's families have been fixtures in South Texas for over 100 years. In fact, we're raising our cattle today on my mom's family ranch, which has been in her family since 1883. Enrolled in the Texas Family Land Heritage Program in 1991, I can't begin to tell you the amount of pride I feel when I burn brush, work cows, clear pasture, shred, and generally just move about the property. It also fills me with pride knowing that I'm continuing a ranching heritage on the same piece of land for nearly 140 years. Now, my mom's dad's family is a pretty typical story for the time. Huge family back at the home place in Lavaca County. Younger boys had to go out and make their own way. My great-grandfather originally started ranching all the way up in Pilot Point, north of Dallas. When he heard that the rest of his Timrock family had migrated to Atascosa County, he bought land there and joined them, driving his cattle overland to their new home. My mom's uncles today still farm that same land those cattle were driven to all those years ago, farming peanuts, cotton, and dry peas and anything else that the market demands. Moving on to the top side, let's give due to the dam again. My grandmother's family is basically Texas royalty. One side of them are descendants of the Pentecost family, who were members of the Old 300, Austin's original colony. However, not to be outdone, the other side is descended directly from Moses Austin himself. I'm a proud member of the Old 300 Society and an 8th great nephew of Stephen F. Austin. More importantly, however, I have cattle production and horse production coming from all those lines. My great-great-grandfather, B.D. Fusel, bought a quarter horse in the 40s that he campaigned, which ended up becoming the 1951 American Quarter Horse Association World Champion, Reserve Champion cutting horse. That horse was Jesse James. My family believed in his line so much that the very first horse I ever rode was my father's gelding Fred, a grandson of the original Jesse horse. Now, last but certainly not least, the very top side of my pedigree. The Sartwell family had a lot of history before the accomplishments of my great-great-grandfather, J.W. However, what he did could fill books. Starting in 1920 to 1932, he bought our foundation set of Brahman cows, organized the importation of the most influential set of Brahman cattle to ever come into the United States. He was the driving force behind the creation of the American Brahman Breeders Association, and he founded and served as the first president of the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. In all three respects, every subsequent generation of my family has been involved deeply. We've had our Brahman cows for 100 years on the dot. Through those 100 years, these cows have been bred, culled vigorously, and sold literally all over the world. Both JW and my grandfather have served as the American Brahman Breeders Association president. Dad served as the National Junior Association president, and I am currently serving as a National Junior Association secretary and the Texas Junior Brahman Association president. Showing has also been in our blood. Over those 100 years, we have exhibited our bulls, cows, and heifers at nearly every major livestock show in the nation. We have hung a lot of banners, but there is a picture of the 1971 San Antonio Livestock Exposition Grand Champion female at the Open Brahman Show that hangs above my grandfather's desk that's been there for 40 years that we bred. I've had champions in junior rings in my time, but I would love to be able to breed a cow that is that good that I can hang on my wall for nearly 5 decades. I'm often asked what my future holds. I don't know where I want to go to college in a year, and I don't know exactly what my future role in agriculture is going to be. But what I do know is this: I will own a set of Brahman cows until the day that I die. And I will be involved in the farming and ranching industry. I will continue my service as a volunteer like every member and every generation of my family did before me. I will continue my service as a volunteer in my church, my cattle breed, and my local and major livestock shows. Stephen Robert Kuta wrote, "We are the accomplishments of the generation dreamers." If that is true, then my life and my future is based off of the dreams of farmers and ranchers who bet everything they have and sometimes everything they could borrow against in the prospect of raising better livestock and crops than they ever did before. I've got a huge future ahead of me, and I've got a great, excellent generation in front of me. I can only thank my past generations for the amount of guidance that they've given me throughout my lifetime.